So joining me now is a very rising band who we've played not that long ago and have a lot of positive feedback. It is ADALIA. How is everyone doing?
We're good. At least I am. How are you, Sam?
Yes, I'm all right. Keeping busy. It's all pretty exciting with a new single. And yeah, like you said, we've had a lot of really nice feedback about it. So it's retouching. So yeah, it's good. Been a good couple of weeks.
So to start with, just introduce yourselves and what part of the band you are.
So I'm Corey. I am the singer of ADALIA.
And I'm Sam. I attempt some rather shoddy backing vocals and play guitar.
So how has ADALIA formed? How did it get started?
So originally it was a solo project started by me. I've always wanted to be in a band, but I used that as an excuse for a very long time as to not make any music. And then I just kind of gave myself a talking to and it's like, no more procrastinating. You got to go and do it. So I put the first EP together, which is called Stray Hearts on Spotify. And I got some friends to kind of play the instruments and things like that. But then I really wanted to start kind of gigging and writing more, but actually be in a band. Now I had the material there. I had something to present to people and be like, this is the direction. So that's when I found Sam, your dearest. And then you came on board, didn't you?
Yeah. So we actually met on like a music teaching course, which is pretty cool. And we were lucky enough to kind of like have both the same kind of musical interests. And so I think I just remember you sending me a message being like, do you want to start a band? I was like, yeah. And you're like, that's easy, cool, job done. And then kind of just went from there, got a bit carried away.
Yeah, so we were the annoying kids in the park playing like acoustic covers, just trying to figure stuff out. For those days. We decided we wanted to get it on kind of stages and stuff, but we didn't even want to do the acoustic thing, so why even start that type thing? So we just put a Facebook message out. That's how we found our drummer Jordan, and then from there we found Sanchez, our bassist, and just been playing and writing since, really.
Yeah, we really tried to kind of like force like the acoustic duo sort of thing, just to kind of avoid having to talk to like new people and meet them, and it just wasn't really a vibe, was it? It's like you said, I still got that really cringy image of us two sitting in a park with an acoustic guitar, and I was like, no, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be those good kids.
I think like the nail in the coffin was when we had that, I think it's like a homeless guy came over and started singing with us, didn't he? So okay, we need to start branching out a bit.
Yeah. He was better than me, so I don't know.
Find him, what he's doing.
Yeah. So, and then it kind of came together when we had Jordan come in and play drums, which is really cool. And again, we're just lucky enough to all kind of have very much the same kind of like musical influences and kind of work ethic as well. So we just kind of synced quite quickly, so which was really nice. It was really lucky, 'cause that doesn't always happen a lot. I'm sure been in some bands where it's just like pushing and pushing and pushing, and it's just like and just not getting a lot out of it. So yeah, we were really lucky, which is quite cool.
So you've kind of touched upon having similar music tastes. So inspiration. So Corey, you first.
So my inspirations are a bit all over the place, just because how I've grown up. So growing up, very much like AC/DC was played a lot, Guns N' Roses, Bon Jovi, very much the hair metal scene. And then I've got an older sister who very much liked the 90s punk, The Offspring was a very, very early influence. And then kind of going forward and finding my own, I guess, preference and sound. Green Day played a huge role in the early days. And then artists like Hailstorm, Evanescence, really strong women in the industry with these incredible vocals and their voices, and just, you know, how they've kind of taken their industries by storm. And then very, very recently, I've been obsessed with Palais Royale, because there's, from the artwork to the videos to the songs, everything is just so cohesive, and everything's got a story, which I love. I love stories. Yeah, that's probably my main influences.
Can't beat a bit of Hailstorm. Sam.
Yes. So all of my musical influences all came from my sister and my mum. They were full on straight up pop punk kids. So I remember my sister showing me the album Young and the Hopeless by Good Charlotte, which is just like still just, that album is like God tier for me. That's like a perfect album, always will be. And yeah, so a lot of my days spent learning guitar was trying to just like recreate those little riffs and that. And then I kind of went a little bit more into kind of Green Day and Blink and like the Dookie album, Enema of the State and that. And yeah, kind of went from there. Then I went to music university, and all of a sudden I thought I was really cool. I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have to start learning these blues licks and like this, that, and the other, and like, you know, try and show off and whatever. And yeah, so then started listening to players like Jimi Hendrix, and then somehow started trying to like force the two together guitarically, if that's a word. And yeah, so I think there's a lot of that in ADALIA stuff. There's kind of, you know, there's the straight up kind of like hard rock riffs, pop punk riffs, and then, you know, the solo, any lead guitar stuff will all be based around kind of just blues guitarists and like dirty rock guitarists that like I got really into later age. So yeah, like Corey said, it's just like a bit of a mix mash of everything. And sometimes that's not always the easiest, because you're like, okay, we need to find like a really solid direction now. Like it's really easy to get carried away and just sit down and just like write a load of songs, and then just keep on churning stuff out, and then all of a sudden you're like, where are we going with this? So but like I think with like our new stuff, it's come together kind of like really nicely, and we've got like a really solid direction, like an aim that we want to go for now, which is really cool, which took some time and a lot of work to go for, but yeah.
So before we get onto the new single, you are a UK band. You are I'm guessing it's Brighton you're from, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So what's like the music scene like in Brighton?
It's incredible. Like, it's so big, so broad, and it's so supportive. I think growing up and learning music and wanting to play, it was very much like, because I went to school in Surrey and stuff like that, so not in Brighton. It was very more restricted and a lot more, well, there aren't really places to play for rock bands and things like that. And then coming to uni in Brighton and just staying in Brighton, it opened up like a world of possibilities. There's a gig on every night. If no matter what night you go out, you are guaranteed to find maybe about 5 gigs happening, all sorts of genres. Like, I've walked into very weird venues and just heard some very strange bands playing, and it's amazing because everyone is there for it. And because everyone is an emerging band or a band about to break, it's that sense of excitement is always there, that sense of you're contributing to something or to someone is always there. I think in the music industry, it can be very easy to focus on competition and, you know, who's going to be the next whoever or whatever it is. But I think in Brighton, it's, you know, everyone here is trying to make it. Everyone here is just trying to share what they do. And it's a really lovely environment to be in, especially, yeah,
for real.
So this one is million for Corey. The female fronted debate. what's it like being like the front woman of a UK rock band about to break through?
That's a big question. It has its up days and its down days, mainly up days. And like I said, being in Brighton, things like that is such a supportive community. And there are so many women vocalists, so many women instrumentalists. It's quite nice in the fact that gender isn't really focused on as much, I found. Because, yeah, female fronted, the term, it can be helpful in helping kind of brand yourself and, you know, push equality, especially for women, you know, push equality there, kind of highlight these bands and these artists who do have women in them. But at the same time, it can be sometimes cashed in as unnecessary branding, or I guess misconstrued equality. Sometimes. Luckily, we haven't ran into that much. I think, yeah, being in Brighton, that's a very supportive community. So it's worked for us so far. And most people that we've met and most people we've worked with have been supportive, and just a great community to develop our sound in as an emerging band, rather than having people tell us we can't do something because a woman's in the band type thing. And being blonde doesn't help either, but you know, but yeah, I think all in all it's been positive. There are changes I'd like to see. I would like to see more women on stage, not just as vocalists, but, you know, as drummers, bassists. I think, you know, younger women need to see more of that. I remember the first time I saw Lizzie Hale on stage, or like on Kerrang, and that completely blew my mind. But the fact that took, I think it was like 15 or 16 when I first saw that, and I'd already been playing music for like 5 or 6 years. So the fact it took that long to find an icon of that level is kind of upsetting or disappointing for young women. So I think more needs to be done in terms of equality. I think if people are going to use female fronted as a term, it needs to be used to highlight equality rather than as a gimmick. Because it does sometimes feel like if you're a woman in the industry and highlighting your gender, you're kind of being more focused on because of your gender rather than what you do. But they're just some of my very brief thoughts on the situation.
So now we do come to the new single, Romeo. So just take us through the making of Romeo.
You want to take this one, Sam?
For real, yeah. So usually how it works is that Corey will come up with a melody and some lyrics. You will usually send me kind of like a voice note. It's so mad how like many artists are like, you know, relying on like voice notes nowadays. I think there's a Charlie Puth album which was literally just like voice notes, and it's just him just like going through like, you know, all these ideas, and it's the best tool ever. And I think you utilize that quite a bit. So when you're in the car, you'll send me some melodies, just lyrics, and then I will basically take the melodies, and then I'll put like a really rough kind of like structure, just some chords behind it, and then that's how I work really. I would go. We take the melodies, then we have like the guitar parts, and then I kind of work downwards, and then and then I'll come up with some ideas for bass, and then Sanchez, our bass player, will just kind of run with it and just do his magic. I will say, "Oh, can it be something a little bit like this?" And he just means, I was like, "Oh, do you mean this?" And then yeah. So he's got it. He's always got our back with this sort of thing. Like, he's an amazing arranger as well. Really, really talented musician. So yeah, it's kind of cool because we all have our individual roles, and then like making a song is very much like, oh, it would go to Corey for the lyrics to melody, oh, then to me, then Jordan, and then just like kind of just like gets like sent around. And like with technology, that's just so easy. And yeah, and then we'll just jam it in the rehearsal room and then just keep tweaking it again and again and again and again. But like some songs are really, really easy to write. They come like, I don't know, they can be done in a week or something. I remember this one being definitely one of the more challenging ones. I just remember sitting there in a rehearsal room just like, again, no, it's not right. And just like, you know, all of us kind of just like racking our brains being like, what's wrong with this? And I think that was partly just because like rhythmically there's a lot going on, there's a lot of different layers, and so it was very much like a big problem solving thing. And I like to think we got there with it. It was definitely worth the wait, and it's definitely kind of one of the songs I'm more proud of. So yeah, but what do you think, Corey? Is there like, yeah,
so you've kind of got the writing side of it now. One thing that we always try to do is we always try to take a song live before we even consider recording it, and playing it live is such a huge part of the tweaking process, because we'll, in a non-creepy way, watch the audience, like how they react to it. If there are a particular thing they really don't like, is a bridge section too long, is a lyric too rushed, things like that, and we'll figure out there, because that's where most of our audience are, and that's where most of, you know, most musicians thrive, is in the live area. So we try and make the live experience as best as we can, and then see, okay, does that still work on record? If it does, great, let's just put it down like that. I remember with this one in particular, we were tweaking it up until we were recording it. So I think we did like a run through just for levels for our sound engineer, Alex, and Sam was going, let's try it faster and a bit more. And we did that for about 15 minutes, half hour. Yeah. And I don't know how far we went up, but he just kept going a little faster. I just got to the point where I was like, no, I need to breathe and actually pronounce these words.
What are you talking about? It's not a thing.
I had to go back to the original tempo to see how slow it was. But
you need to pronounce things these days.
Yeah, this one started in the car. I remember singing that first line, Hey Stranger in the Pretty Dress, and just having it stuck in my head, and I couldn't record it, and I still had like 20 minutes left to go home, so it's just like, right, just keep repeating it because my memory's like a sieve. So I need to get a little recording device for the phone, for the car. So
yeah, I think like the intro we changed on the day, I think, completely.
It isn't an intro.
The first verse rather. What song are we talking about? What band is this?
Romeo.
I've never heard this before in my life. But yeah, I think it's really crazy just kind of how what you're listening to at the time reflects on your songwriting, because I think so we had the song down, and then all of a sudden I went through about 2 weeks of listening to like a lot kind of heavier, like punky stuff. Like I think I got really into A Day to Remember that week, and all of a sudden all the guitar parts were changed for like and like, you know, these heavy kind of like triplet sort of like rhythms, and just like, you know, and then I thought, oh, okay, this is happening now. Cool. We'll run with it. But I think we did good.
So we mentioned at the start the positive feedback you've got. So just how amazed have you been with the amount of feedback?
Oh, completely blown away. I mean, like all four of us as kids always idolized Kerrang, and we actually made it onto one of their playlists this time around with this single. And I remember getting the message from Jamie of Rage PR, who's been incredible throughout this entire process. And I just remember like sitting and just reading that message for ages before even responding to it or like sharing it with the other three. I was like, I'm not reading this right. And then I sent the other three, and I know our drummer Jordan was like, no, this isn't like real. I was like, yeah, it's real. So yeah, and just from like people we've known for years, and, you know, new people kind of, you know, switching on to us and stuff, it's been absolutely phenomenal how many people are saying like, you know, they love it, and, you know, they wish they had heard of us sooner, etc. It's really humbling experience as well, to be like, actually people do want to listen to us. Because I don't know about you, Sam, but I still feel very much like a kid locked away in my bedroom writing songs for the sake, like, for me, instead of
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, the Kerrang thing was really I was teaching a lesson, and then all of a sudden, like, my phone started like going off, and it was just like people being like, "Oh my god, you've made it onto a Kerrang playlist," and I was like, what are you talking about? Whatever. So it was like, set the kids up with a challenge. I was just like, be right back. And then sure enough, yeah, which was really cool. But yeah, and of course, just like friends and family have been really, really, really sweet about it. And yeah, so just really, really happy. And I think there's a lot, you know, we can take from like kind of feedback as well, like what really works for us as a band. It definitely seems to be kind of this more darker theatrical sort of thing. Like My Chemical Romance sort of vibe that seems to really, well, I obviously get a massive kick out of that. So and so yeah, I think this single was just kind of like really set in stone, like who we are, what we want to sound like. And yeah, so it's just a matter of really running with it.
So touring now, any tours coming up?
not tour per se, but we pick up as many gigs as we can in Brighton. I think we're somewhat getting known for picking up last minute gigs. Someone will be like, we've got a slot available in 2 days, do you want to take it? Like, yeah, why not? We want to get back into playing London and kind of breaking. We want to break everywhere, really. But yeah, in terms of a tour, no, it's not much yet, just little gigs here and there.
Yeah, it's quite easy to kind of get like sucked into, like, you know, just like gigging non-stop, and then like, and although that's like amazing live experience and you get to meet loads and loads of amazing people, it does come to a point where you want the product, but what you're promoting with your live shows, to be as like solid as possible. So I think we're kind of at that stage now where we're just like proper quality control and making sure that, you know, what people see live is exactly what is, you know, what we want to represent us as a band. So I think we will have a good few shows come out after this single, and then on to kind of the next one really, and then just rinse and repeat.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think we're pretty much perfecting our live sound. Like now we figured out what direction we want to take, what sound we actually are. We're now kind of fine-tuning that, polishing that, getting new songs into the works as well, because we've taken a bit of time off with releasing this single from writing to more focus on pushing the single. And we have another single coming out later on this year, so we're going to be pushing that, but, you know, writing a bit more so we have a solid, good body of live material that we can be like, okay, now let's go for world domination on the live scene.
So Corey, Sam, thanks for taking the time out to have a chat with us.
Having us.
All the best luck with Romeo, with the continued success.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us. It's been amazing.